I'm scared to say this. Hello? Mic drop. Hello, my beautiful book besties. My name is Delaney if you are new here. We are back with another weekly reading vlog, and I actually just came up with this idea and I'm really excited about it because this just kind of like organically happened. Let me give you some backstory. So I am a proud public library lover. Like, I will get physical copies from my library, but even more so I will get like Kindle or audiobooks from my library non-stop. Like, the amount of holds that I can have on my library card is always maxed out. And so every month I set these TBRs and like, I'm gonna read this book and this book and this book, and then my library holds will start trickling in because like it's my turn to get the book, and I'm like, shoot, like now I have this TBR that I set for the month, and now I have this library hold coming in. I only have like 21 days to read this now, and it gets kind of like overwhelming. I'm like, do I pick library or do I stick to my TBR? So I am doing a full week of reading this week where my library holds pick what I read for the week. This means when a hold comes in at the library, whether it's physical, Kindle, or audiobook, that is the book that we're reading. And I think the majority of my holds currently are audiobooks, honestly, and I'm pretty sure it should align with roughly a TBR that I set. So I'm really excited. I already know the first book because this audiobook just came in, and it's actually a reread, which I'm so excited to reread, and that is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is a memoir, and it's actually my favorite memoir that I've ever read in my entire life. This book changed my life, honestly, and Chanel Miller, I just think the world of her. I adore her, and I'm really excited to give this a reread, and this is an audiobook must. I think I'm going to physically read it while simultaneously listening to the audiobook, if that makes sense. I want to like look at the words while hearing Chanel narrate in my ear. I gave this book 5 stars last time I read it, so we're gonna read it again. I have a very strong feeling that it's going to be another 5-star. I feel like memoirs in particular, or books with heavy topics in general, this covers sexual assault, if you're not familiar with Chanel Miller and her case. I feel like books that have those heavier topics, you almost get more out of them sometimes the second time that you read them. So I'm excited for a reread of this book that's going to kick off the library picks my reads for the week reading vlog, and I'm really excited about this like theme. I feel like I might do a couple of these throughout the year because it's honestly just organically, like when I'm not filming vlogs or I'm not filming for a specific reason, I feel like that's how my reads just kind of like organically happen. If it comes in at the library, I'm like, sweet, sign from the universe, it's my time to read this. So that's how we're gonna take on this week. We're gonna see what books come up, and even though the library like estimates like, oh, this will come in 2 weeks, or you're 4th in line, sometimes I'm like 13th in line, and then the next day it's like, oh, your hold's ready, and I'm like, whoa, what happened to the other 12 people in front of me? But that makes it fun because you never really know what you're gonna get. So I will keep you posted as I work my way through this book, and then also as the next holds come in, because like I said, it's kind of random. We never know when they're going to come in, so that's kind of exciting. I will definitely update you when I work my way through this, and also when more holds come in, and we'll see what we're reading next. Hopefully that all made sense. It is like a Sunday at 6 p.m. My brain is just like off. I'm like trying to prepare for a new week. I kind of have the Sunday scaries, lots going on, but I think hopefully I explained that well. If my words weren't totally wording, give me some grace. But I'm gonna go start this book. I'm really, really, really excited. I love this book. I love this book so much. But that is all for now. I will definitely talk to you guys soon. Hello, I'm here with a rather large update, and I apologize because I already finished Know My Name. I did. I finished it. It did not take me very long because once you start hearing Chanel tell her story, like, I just wanted her to keep talking. I just wanted her to tell me about what she went through, and it's not like it's easy listening by any means. It's not light reading, but it's like once you get into it, you're like, oh my gosh, like if someone's telling you a really deep traumatic story, you're not gonna be like, okay, hold on, pause. I don't know, I couldn't stop once I started, and I already knew the story, so it's not like I was wanting to know what was happening. It was just like, I don't even know. I think my deep connection to her just made me want to keep reading. So I do deeply apologize for not updating you in the middle of this book. I promise I will be better with our next book. But wow, this book, I don't even rate memoirs or nonfiction. If you know me and you followed me for any amount of time, I don't give star ratings, but this is a 5-star read. I'm sorry. Like, there's no, in no world could I finish this book and not give it 5 stars. Do you know what I mean? And it's, the meaning of this book, Chanel's writing, the human she is. I think everybody should read this book. I really, really do. It is a life changer. And there's so many quotes in this book, like starting right from the very, very, very beginning. At the end of chapter 1, it's actually one of my favorite quotes in the book, I think, right at the very start. She's talking about like shoving down her pain and like not telling people about what she's going through really. And she says, at the time, it was very simple. I put the memory of that morning inside a large jar. I took this jar and carried it down, 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 flights and flights of stairs, placing it inside a cabinet, locking it away, and walking briskly back up the stairs to continue the life I had built, the one that had nothing to do with him or what he could ever do to me. The jar was gone. Like that right there, the imagery of like shoving something in a jar, taking it, burying it in a cabinet in a basement, and just like pretending it's not living inside of you, that like resonated. There's also other ones. I took pictures of them on my phone as I was reading. Let me read some of them to you. This is a short one-liner. My pain was never more valuable than his potential. My pain was never more valuable than his potential, because he inflicted so much pain, the man that assaulted her, and he was still Brock Turner, Stanford swimmer. Brock Turner, he has won this medal and he's achieved this and he's done this and he was honor roll and he was this and this and this and this and this. And it's like, it's the way that it was presented and the way that it so often is presented is like, this man, like he had so much potential and now his potential is being stripped of him because of this case or because of this event. And why are we feeling sorry for a man that has violated a woman because he is seeing like the repercussions of his actions? Ugh, this right here, I'm gonna cry. It says, in fact, I need you to know it was all true. The friendly guy who helps you move and assists senior citizens in the pool is the same guy who assaulted me. One person can be capable of both. Society often fails to wrap its head around the fact that these truths often coexist. They are not mutually exclusive. Bad qualities can hide inside a good person. That's the terrifying part. This. When a woman is assaulted, one of the first questions they ask is, did you say no? This question assumes that the answer was always yes, and that it is her job to revoke the agreement, to defuse the bomb she was given. But why are they allowed to touch us until we physically fight them off? Why is the door open until we have to slam it shut? Mic drop. They seemed angry that I'd made myself vulnerable more than the fact that he'd acted on my vulnerability. I love this book. I love Chanel. I hate that she went through this. And I am so thankful for her strength, for sharing her story. It is beautiful. It calls out so many flaws in the system. It calls out so many serious issues that aren't talked about enough. And it gives women a voice and it gives survivors a voice. And it is one of the most impactful, life-changing books that I've ever read. So 5 stars. You need to read this. Like I said, I think everybody should read this. And if you are going to, I highly recommend reading while listening to the audio. So like reading the words, but hearing Chanel narrate it in your ear at the same time is like a top level experience. I feel emotional talking about this book. Like I feel like I could cry at any moment. Oh, it's good. I love this book. Yeah. Also my hair, I was just outside in the rain and you can tell. And then our next book was also decided and I'm very excited. So my hold on the ebook came in. I own the physical copy and this video basically is like I'm being prompted to read books that I maybe already own when my holds on other formats come in at the library, if that makes sense. So my hold on the ebook came in at the library and I was like, it's time. It's finally time. Where is my book? By my bed. That's where it is. Hold on. So we are reading The Great Alone. I have already made a very large dent in this book as well. I read in one day 203 pages of this book. So I got through the entire first chunk. I think it's like 1974 and I stopped when it turns to 1978. So basically this follows Lenny and her family. Cora is her mom and her dad is Ernst. I think that's his name. Ernst. It always sounds weird to me. But they were kind of just like a standard Pacific Northwest family. They lived in Kent, Washington, which is actually kind of funny because I'm a Washingtonian and they talk about like local areas here and I'm like, I know exactly where you are. So they were just kind of like a normal family and her dad went to serve in the Vietnam War and came back a very, very, very different human. So her dad is struggling with PTSD and kind of the aftermath of the Vietnam War and being held in captivity during the Vietnam War. And he wants to uproot their family and take them to a teensy tiny little town in Alaska. So they agree. The mom agrees. Lenny is pretty unhappy with this decision, but she kind of has no choice. I think she's 13 when this book starts. So they up and they move from Washington all the way to Alaska. And when I say like small town, like they are on an island. You can only get there by plane or by boat, I believe. And the population is like teeny tiny. They show up, they literally have a shack. It's like a tiny little place, super rundown, super small town, like no electricity, no running water, no anything like that, like extreme. And now they're there and their dad is still angry and still violent and still just very much not the man that left for the war. And now they have no support, basically. It's just them and their dad. So that's basically like the premise of the book. We're kind of just learning more about Lenny's life, and this is third person point of view, so it's not necessarily like told from Lenny's perspective, but she feels like the main character kind of. She meets a friend. It's just kind of like telling the story of them and their family. So far, very heavy, very emotional. I'm very, 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 very invested already. I feel like this is the quickest I've been invested in a Kristen Hanna book. Like The Nightingale and The Women, I adore. Both are 5, 6, 7, 8 Infinity Star reads for me. But they took a little bit for me to get into. This one, I feel like from the get-go, maybe it's because it was like very Pacific Northwest heavy and I'm like, ooh, like that's my homeland. I was just interested. But from the get-go, I was invested in this book, and that's why I flew through the first like 200 pages. So that's where we're at as of now. This has been on my TBR for so long. This might have been the first Kristen Hanna book that I even put on my TBR. And so it's been a long time coming. I'm very excited that we're finally getting to it. I'm really enjoying it so far. And that's kind of the update as of now. I feel like I just talked a lot, but I had to get you caught up. I do apologize that I read an entire book without updating you in between. That was not my intention. I just kind of binge read it. Sorry. I will be better. I will do better with The Great Alone. So those are the first 2 books that have been picked for us from the library this week. We're off to a very solid start. I feel like this could be potentially back-to-back 5-star read, which would be a phenomenal start to the new year. Like, can I just say? I'm not sure yet, because like I said, I'm only like a third of the way through The Great Alone, but it definitely has 5-star potential. So we will see where the day takes us. We will see where the week takes us. And I will definitely update you before I just fly through another book and finish it without any updates. So I pinky promise you that. But as of now, that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna get ready. I'm going to hot yoga. It's like a sculpt class, so we're lifting weights in a 105-degree room. I'm gonna sweat so much and I'm really excited for it. So I'm gonna go get ready for that and I will update you. I'll probably come home and read after that is kind of my goal, hopefully. So I'll update you then. So besties, we have to catch up because I have read quite a bit of The Great Alone and I want to update you before I finish it. So this book is split into like 3 separate parts. So it starts in 1974, I believe, and that's one part. And then there's a part for 1978, I think, and then I think it's 1986. And I just finished 1978, so kind of like that big middle piece. It was the longest piece. And I just finished that. And let me tell you, it was a roller coaster of emotion. I feel like so much happened. It was like whiplash. So much was going on. I did not predict any of it. I didn't see any of it coming. And it was just like, my heart was just being torn in a million different directions. There was grief and sadness. There was anger and frustration. There was a full like moral dilemma that I had. I'm trying really hard to like not give spoilers specifically with this book because I think this is a book that is really best when you go into it completely blind. So I don't want to spoil anything or like ruin the reading experience at all because there is nothing worse than when you're watching a vlog and someone just spoils a book for you or says something that is just a little bit too much information and you weren't expecting it and you're like, well, what the heck? Like now I don't even want to read the book because you just like told me a huge piece of information. So I'm trying to be very aware and very cautious because I don't want to ruin this book for anybody. That would make me really, really sad. But there definitely is like, I was conflicted morally. As a human, don't condone violence, but also at what point, like, if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough to read. I also was shocked by the big incident that happened. My heart broke. Like, I think I audibly gasped and my heart broke reading it. So that was not so fun, not such a fun reading experience. And I'm scared to read the next part of this book, the final part, because everyone I've talked to has said like, have the tissues ready. That book made me cry. Like, it seems like pretty unanimous that people cry reading The Great Alone. I have not felt close to tears. Like, I've definitely felt emotion, but not anywhere close to like, actually I'm going to cry. So I'm scared for where this book is headed. I'm scared for what's to come, and I don't know what's to come because Kristen Hanna is very, very, very good at taking you for a turn that you didn't see coming and just shattering your heart. From the books that I've read by her, like, she's pretty good at that. So I'm a little bit nervous to see where we're headed, but I'm also excited. I kind of hope it's a happy ending, but I'm not entirely sure if we're gonna get a happy ending. And I don't even know what the happy ending would look like at this point. It's a doozy. It's a doozy. I'm really, really loving the mother-daughter relationship in this book. I'm very, very close with my mom. I'm a total mama's girl. And seeing a mother-daughter relationship in books like always melts my heart. And they have such a strong bond. Like, I think that they're soulmates, honestly, like the mother-daughter duo in this book. And it's heartbreaking to like watch them have to lean on each other with their circumstances, but also beautiful too. I don't know. I think it's like devastatingly beautiful, kind of. I'm also liking the Pacific Northwest detailing. I'm a Pacific Northwester. Kristen Hanna's from the Pacific Northwest, if I remember correctly. And it's kind of fun to like have like the nature detailing. I'm not from Alaska. My mom actually spent some time in Alaska in her childhood. She lived there for a little while. In my mind, Alaska is like igloos and that's it. And I know that's not at all accurate, but in my brain, it's like Alaska is just igloos. So I need to go. I need to go to Alaska and like debunk that myth that I created in my brain when I was like 6 years old and have held on to my entire life. But I'm enjoying like reading about the nature elements and just like the Pacific Northwest environment. As a whole, I'm very emotionally invested. Definitely has the potential to be a 5-star read. And I care about these characters so deeply that it has the potential to make me cry. Like, I could see it going down that road, but I guess we will see when we get to the end. I also have our third book came in, and this is a book that I placed a hold on the audio and I kind of forgot about it. And the hold, last time I checked in, I don't even think I mentioned it because the hold said it was like 4 weeks out still, I believe. And then it came in the other day. I was baking in the kitchen and like my phone lit up and it was like, your hold is ready. And it was this book. And I was like, that was really a really quick 4 weeks, but okay. So the book is Rule. And I'm excited to read this book. I downloaded it on Kindle Unlimited, and it's also becoming a movie. It's being adapted into a movie here soon. So I'm very excited for that, and I'm excited to read it. So that is definitely on my radar. I don't know a ton about it, but it sounds emotional and dramatic and romantic, and I'm excited. It's also my first time reading this author. Total new to me author, new to me book, new to me series. It should be interesting. So that's the update as of now. I'll probably finish The Great Alone tonight or tomorrow. I'm exhausted. I woke up and I went for a hot Pilates class this morning. It's hot yoga, but it was power yoga, so it's really kind of more Pilates. It was intense. I've been exhausted ever since then, and I've just been reading all day, like sitting on the couch, resting and recovering. My body is like, nah, girl, you gotta chill out now. So I will probably continue reading tonight, I would assume. I also want to go get Chick-fil-A. That sounds really good. My mom asked me if I wanted to get Chick-fil-A, and I do want to get Chick-fil-A. I'm so sad, you guys. Life update. This is so random, not at all related. I went to the doctor the other day. I've been having like, I don't know if you can tell, I have like a rash around my mouth and on my nose a little bit. I've been having like super bad joint pain. Like, I feel like I'm 95 years old. I'm in so much pain. Inflammation, chronic fatigue, brain fog, digestive issues, stomach cramps. Like, I just am not thriving at all. And my doctor was like, babe, I think you might have to cut out gluten. And I was like, Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. So she's testing me for celiac, waiting on results, but she thinks I'm gluten intolerant. So I'm cutting out gluten at least for a month to see if that helps. If it helps me feel better, it will definitely be worth it, but it's a huge, huge adjustment. Like, who knew gluten was in soy sauce? Like, I have to check everything, and make sure it's gluten-free. It's just not fun. It's not a fun experience, but it's okay, because if it makes my body feel better, it will definitely be worth it. But how did I get on this topic? Chick-fil-A. I learned that Chick-fil-A is one of like the best fast food places for being gluten-free. They have a lot of options actually. So I might go get Chick-fil-A with my mom. That sounds pretty appealing. So that's probably my plan. And then reading a little bit more is my hope for the night. I'm trying to remember, I always end these vlog clips and then I'm like, oh shoot, I meant to say this, this, and this, and I forgot to say it. And then I'm frustrated with myself, but I think that's everything I had on my brain. But yes, we can leave it here. I'm gonna read, get some dinner, and I will definitely update you probably tomorrow with my final thoughts and rating and review and all those things. And I will talk to you then. Hello, it is later the same night and I followed through on my word. I finished The Great Alone. I'm scared to say this. I think it was a little overhyped. I don't want that to ever come across like I didn't like the book. I'm just gonna say it. I gave the book 5 stars. Like, it is a 5-star read, but it is my least favorite Kristen Hanna that I've read so far. And I feel like my expectations based on the hype was that this could potentially be like Nightingale level, and it just was nowhere close. So every Kristen Hanna book that I've read, I've given 5 stars. The Nightingale is truly like probably an 8-star on the scale. Like, it is phenomenal. Like, my favorite Kristen Hanna book. The Women is probably like a 6.5 out of 5 on the 5-star scale. This is like a solid 5. Do you know what I mean? Like, those were 5 stars, didn't feel like enough to give them. This just feels like a 5-star read, which is still phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I feel like people are gonna roll their eyes at me even saying this, because like a 5 star is a 5-star, and I loved the book. I did love the book. But the level of hype I feel like was potentially setting me up for a little bit of a letdown. This is the first Kristen Hanna book I've read that I haven't cried. And I think it's the most forgettable Kristen Hanna book. Like, I feel like these characters just didn't resonate with me as deeply. That said, the ending tore my heart out and then also pieced it back together. So I don't know, there was just like, I didn't expect that ending. It was a beautiful, beautiful conclusion. It was, I would say, a happy ending. It was a well done ending. It was a realistic, well done ending. I think she did all her characters justice. I think she showed up for her characters and she gave them what they deserved. I don't really know what else to say about this book. I really enjoyed it, but definitely in the 3rd slot. It's like number 3 of the 3 that I've read of Kristen Hanna. I do have plans to read Firefly Lane, Night Road, Winterfront, and True Colors. I have heard nothing about True Colors, and it's the one that stood out to me the most. Like, prior to knowing any Kristen Hanna anything, just reading the blurbs of her books, True Colors stuck out to me the most. So I don't know anything about that book. I do want to read it. Firefly Lane will probably be my next Kristen Hanna book, but I do need a little bit of a break. I feel like this book, I know I talked about like the Kristen Hanna hangover kind of. I don't really have it with this book. It was really enjoyable, 5-star read. I loved it. It was great. I would recommend it. It's a perfect winter read. If you're watching this in the winter time still, perfect winter read. 5 stars. Kristen Hanna is just, she's amazing. She's incredible. But those are kind of my thoughts. I am really not trying to be nitpicky. I feel like I'm overly critical of this book, like being super duper nitpicky. Not at all my intention. I still loved it. Like, don't get me wrong. I still loved it. Just if we're ranking Kristen Hanna books, this is lowest on the ranking as of now. But that is all. I'm actually really exhausted. So I'm gonna go maybe go to my boyfriend's house or maybe wash my face and go to bed. I haven't decided yet, which sounds more like what I want to do with my night. I'm tired. Like, that class, I'm tired. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see where the night takes us. The night is young, honestly. It's only 6:30. I cannot go to bed at 6:30. Can I go to bed at 6:30? I'm an adult. There's no rules. That's the best part. It's like sometimes it's like 7 and I'm like, bedtime, and no one can judge me for it because I'm an adult and no one's gonna say anything about it. Yes, but I wanted to touch base on that. I will probably be starting, why do I always want to call it Dune? It's called Rule, right? Rule. Did I make that up? Rule. It's called Rule. I'll probably be starting that tomorrow. I also really need to read the Patreon book club book. So I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed with my books. I'm not gonna lie. I'm overwhelmed with life right now. I feel like I'm in a little bit of like a winter, I don't want to say like depression, but I just feel low energy. Partially, I think health-wise, whatever I have going on, I'm just like exhausted. And so anything on my to-do list, I'm like, oh, I'll never make it. I will. It's fine. It's really not that big of a deal, but I'm feeling really overwhelmed. So I don't know when we'll get to the next book, but I'm trying to be gentle with myself and give myself a little bit of grace. But we will get to there eventually, I promise. And I promise you I will let you know when we do. But that's it. 5 stars. That is 2 back-to-back 5 stars. That's good. That's really good. All right, well, we're off to a really solid start. So Rule better not let us down. I will definitely keep you posted. All right, I have made some progress through Rule, and I still want to call it Dune, and I don't know why. I literally know the main characters now, and I know his name is Rule, and I still can't figure out the name of the book. But I am making progress through. I have it on audio, and I also have it on my Kindle. I was listening to audio last, so let me see where I'm at. I'm 38% of the way through. So this book is, let me just kind of give you an overview. It's like a bad boy, not young adult, like college aged, new adult. Is that what the genre, that time period's called? It's basically just like a bad boy romance with people in their late teens, early 20s. It's kind of taboo because our female main character was in a relationship with Remy, who is Rule's brother. And Remy passed away, and now Rule and Shaw, the female main character, have a romance. So it's like she was with the brother passed away, and now she's like kind of with the other brother. I don't know. I have mixed opinions on that part alone. Like, I think that is very complicated. It's not as bad as it sounds when you know the context, but still. And then the male main character, I feel like I am not one that ever will remember physical descriptions of characters. Like, I can read I have read a full 10-book series, the Addicted Calloway Sister series, and I could not tell you like the hair color of some of the main characters. Like, I'm just not someone that builds super clear images in my head or pays attention to those details. I kind of just go with the vibes and like create my own mental image. But the male main character in this book, there's so much emphasis on his physical appearance, and I'm just like not attracted to it. He has a ton of facial piercings. He has like a red spiky mohawk. Nothing wrong with these things. It's just definitely not my type. I'm more of like a Evan Sanders, like professional sports or cowboy, or I'm just not a bad boy kind of girl. You know what I mean? So I think his physical appearance is not one that I'm like, ooh, this is like, I have a crush on our male main character. I really like him. His kind of swagger, I guess, is a little bit appealing, but he's kind of also just a dick, honestly. He's just kind of rude. So I'm torn right now how I feel about him. This is gonna sound really weird considering I'm not like raving about this book yet, but there are moments where I'm getting the vibes of Addicted Calloway. And Addicted Calloway is one of my favorite book series of all time. And so that's a huge statement. It's almost like a knockoff version, not a knockoff, that sounds really mean. Like if you took the concept, like a spin-off kind of, you know what I mean? I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's because they're wealthy. I don't know if it's the like, I don't give an F type of mentality is kind of reminding me of Lauren. It's kind of giving like Lily and Lo vibes in the beginning books where they were really toxic. You know what I mean? If you've read the series, you might know what I mean. Nowhere near as close to like how I feel about Lily and Lo or anyone in the Addicted series, but kind of similar energies. And I don't really have a reason for that. It just is giving similar energy. We just finished a scene where there was intoxicated sexual encounters, and like consent was a topic, but it just, I never really feel great about that. When I read that in a book, it left me feeling a little bit icky. I don't know how I feel about that. There's a lot of things that have happened so far in this book that I'm like, morally, I just don't love that you just did that. So we're gonna see. I'm entertained. I'm definitely entertained. It is keeping my attention. The characters are very complex. There's a lot going on, complicated family dynamics. I think that's another reason. It kind of reminds me of Lily and Lo. Like they have kind of a toxic family environment and they're very wealthy. So it's kind of like that vibe. I don't know. There's a lot keeping me entertained. I'm not going to say I love it or I don't like it at this point. But clearly I'm working through it. I'm already like 40% in and it's only been like a day of reading this book. So I will definitely update you as I continue working through, but I wanted to remember to update now before I get through an entire book and forget to update you because that's my specialty. So that's where we're at. I am going to continue reading, probably listening to it as I do some house chores and stuff I need to pack for a trip that I'm going on. Just some things around the house. It's nice to have audiobook going at the same time. So I'm going to cruise through some more of the audiobook and I will let you know as my opinions shift and I learn more about these characters. Hello, we're back. I look so weird. I have like this, it's frigid here. When I woke up this morning, it was 24 degrees. So a beanie is necessary. I'm about to take my dog for a walk. So I was like, I need to bundle up. And then my brain was ping ponging all around and I was like, oh, but I have to update the besties because I've been reading Rule and I have some thoughts. I just don't know how into it I am, you guys. Like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm invested enough to keep listening / reading, but I also don't really like either of the characters. I don't know. I'm not a bad boy girl. I don't go crazy for the bad boys. I'm also not a golden retriever girl, so I don't know exactly like how to describe the type of man that I like in a book. I think he has to be like, I kind of like the gruff masculinity, but also kind and compassionate, like the Windy City Boys, the Chestnut Spring Boys. I'm just not like a mohawk, tattoos, piercings, grr, bad boy, car chases. Like I'm not into that really. And the boy in this book is most definitely a bad boy. And I also don't like love our female main character either. I don't dislike her by any means, but I'm not like super invested in either of them as individuals. I'm sorry, I keep looking at myself in the viewfinder. I cannot get over this. Is this how you're supposed to wear the hat? Like, it's already rolled over. Hello? Surely. Maybe if my hair wasn't back, I would look less weird. I don't even know what's happening. I feel like at this point, I'm just ready for the book to be over. I have like 20% left. I will probably listen to the rest of the audiobook that I checked out from the library on my walk with my dog. I don't know if that'll get us through the end of the book, probably not, but I'm going to continue listening until I finish it today, and I will update you when I finish it. I just am not wowed. I'm not wowed, not invested, not hating it, but also just like not overly memorable. So I guess I didn't have that big of an update. I probably could have just finished the book and updated you guys then. But in my brain, I was getting ready to go for a walk and I was like, no, wait, I have to vlog. I have to update the besties because I've been reading. But I just don't have thoughts. So sorry about that. Aside from the fact that I have learned that I'm not a bad boy lover. Like not, I don't know, because in fantasy books, I kind of like the bad boy angst or like when there's tension, like Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Like Kai kind of has some like a-hole energy. I don't want to cuss because I don't want my video to get censored. But yeah, he's not like bad boy. I don't know how to describe the vibes of this man. And there's a movie coming out and Chase Stokes plays this character, I'm pretty sure. And like Chase Stokes is like beautiful. A beautiful, beautiful man. And that's just not at all what I'm picturing when I read this book. So maybe my like visual of this man is just a little bit off. I'm just picturing like a spiky red mohawk that's like 1.5 feet tall and piercings everywhere, which is fine, but I'm not like attracted to that, you know? I don't know. I'm not feeling all the warm fuzzy feelings towards this man. female main character is fine. I just think there's a lot of like morally gray things going on and just like not totally invested and not totally emotionally connected to either of them, but especially him. But that's where we're at as of now. I'm gonna go listen to the end and then I will let you guys know my final thoughts and opinions and all those things probably in a couple hours or something. Okay, hold on. Let me get situated. I just finished the audiobook and this is gonna be the quickest turnaround that I think I've ever done about a book because I was saying that I wasn't invested and I think I was going at it with the wrong mindset. Okay, where do I even begin? When I read romance, I like to put myself in the story. That's the reason I like first person point of view is like a must for me when I read romance. And I think what I was doing was trying to center myself too much in this story. And entering the last like 20% of the book or so, I was like, I had a little chat with myself. I was like, you need to just go into this with an open mind and like not center yourself. Like, it's not about you, babe. Like, just read the story as if you're watching a movie or watching a TV show. And like, these are other people. You're reading about someone else's life. I feel like romance is the one genre that I don't always read it that way. I more like imagine myself in the story. And I almost had to like switch gears and read it almost as like I would read a literary fiction or a thriller and like imagine that I'm just watching someone else's life. Sorry if my voice is weird. I think my tongue is numb from being outside. So if I have like a lisp, that's why. Okay, so once I made that switch, it helped a lot because there is a lot of emotion. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of really powerful moments. There's a lot of great quotes. There's also a lot of quotes that I don't particularly love. There's a lot of things that are done, particularly regarding like sexual acts that I'm like, I just don't love how that was approached or talked about or the circumstances there. But these are two broken, flawed humans, as we all are, that are loving each other, not even despite their brokenness, but including their brokenness. They are falling in love with each other, knowing that the other is flawed. And I think that's beautiful. So all of that said, I finished the book. It was emotional. It was meaningful. It's not a book that I would say is one of my favorites by any means. It's not a book that I think I will remember forever. It's not a book that really is going to stick with me, but it is a book I would recommend in certain circumstances to certain people for sure. I think I'm going to settle on a 3-star rating for that one just because there were moments that I was like, ooh, that was a little bit icky, a little bit morally, like I just didn't feel good in my tummy reading that. Like I just didn't love how that was done. There were some moments that I was a little bit bored. And also there were moments that I really, really loved it. So I think a 3 star is kind of like a good middle of the road rating. 3 stars is not a bad rating. Can I just say that right now? 3 stars does not mean I dislike the book. I feel like whenever I rate a book 3 stars, people are like, oof, you hated it. And like, if I hate it, I'm DNFing or I'm giving it a 2 star. Like a 3 star for me is like good, enjoyable, fine that I read it, glad that I read it, would recommend in certain circumstances, but isn't a book that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that book. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where we stand. I will be watching the movie because this was actually funny timing. I logged onto Instagram while I was listening to some of the book, and Jay Crownover, the author of the book, posted Happy Marked Men Movie Week and reposted Chase Stokes' photo. Hello. Hello. That is a beautiful man. A beautiful, beautiful man. I will definitely be watching that movie. I think there's someone like from the Hunger Games in it too. Like the cast is it's a pretty good lineup, honestly. So I'm excited to see it take the big screen. I'm excited to see it adapted. I think normally when I watch adaptations of books, it's books that I loved like with my entire heart and soul. And so naturally I'm a little bit let down by the movie, but a book that I like enjoyed the premise, enjoyed the plot, like it was a fine time, but I'm not like so like invested, passionate, like favorite book of all time. I think I could enjoy the movie even more because my expectations will be a little bit not lower, but I just have like, I'll be less offended if they do something wrong, you know? So that's kind of my final thoughts. That is really all I have to say. This was a lot of fun. I feel like library holds generally kind of pick my reads anyways, because obviously when something comes in from the library, I check it out and I have to read it in that time frame. So this was really fun. It was just kind of like a natural integration because it's how I pick a lot of my reads anyways. And this is your reminder to utilize and show love to your local public libraries. I love my library so, so much. I'm a book creator with a million books, and you will still catch me at the library. I adore my library. Go support your library. If you don't have a library card, go get one. You can get physical books, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, discs, magazines, whatever it is, whatever you need. Libraries are such an underrated resource, I feel like, nowadays. So all the love for the libraries. Definitely, definitely, definitely get yourself a library card. I think we can wrap it up there. We had 2 5-star reads in one video. I don't know that that's ever happened on my channel. So that was pretty sweet. But we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Make sure you're following me on all the things, and make sure you're subscribed here. I'm definitely going to be pouring a lot more of myself into YouTube with the recent events on other platforms that have been going on. So make sure you're subscribed here. Don't miss future videos, and I can't wait to catch you in the next one. Bye, book besties.